Let's be honest, 2025 wasn't a bad year. We really saw some striking and solid games this year. But it seems the gaming world has saved its real ammunition, its real heavy hitters, for 2026. The delay of GTA 6 bummed us all out at first, yes. But looking at the calendar in front of me right now, I say, thank God it was delayed. Because thanks to this delay, 2026 has turned into the most intense, most competitive year in gaming history, and the one that will make our wallets cry the most. If you're ready, grab your tea or coffee, because we are starting our countdown from bottom to top of the 20 games poised to blow our minds in 2026. 20. Gears of War E-Day. We're kicking off the list with one of the heaviest hitters on the Xbox front. For years, fans of the series were begging, let's go back to the old dark days, and the Coalition finally heard that call. With Gears of War E-Day, we are going back to the very beginning of the story, to Emergency Day, the first 24 hours when that famous Locust invasion began. Honestly, unfortunately, I don't have that high of an expectation for this game. But the reason isn't Gears of War, it's Microsoft itself. You know, in recent years, Microsoft really doesn't seem to care about its games and can't seem to polish its own strong brands like they used to. In the speeches their executives make about games, they paint a portrait that matches this situation exactly. I'm guessing the budget for Gears of War E-Day is probably around the same budget Ghost of Tsushima had. You can make beautiful games with these budgets, sure, but let's see if Microsoft will be able to satisfy us. 19. Gothic 1 Remake. Preferred by the old heads, one of the most unforgiving, ruthless worlds in RPG history, Gothic is returning with modern graphics. As new generation players, when we hear hard game, we think of Dark Souls. But from what I've been told, Gothic was on a completely different level. The developer studio Alchemia Interactive has modernized the game's famous clunky combat system, but hasn't ruined the soul of the game. Meaning, the first scavenger creature we encounter while walking in the forest will probably still take us down in one hit. It's said to be excellent in terms of atmosphere, lighting, and living world simulation, things I've only heard about and haven't experienced yet. So Gothic Remake might be a big surprise for me. 18. OD. Hideo Kojima. It is impossible to guess what this man is doing. He made us deliver cargo with Death Stranding, and now he's trying something completely different with OD, meaning overdose. I wish you were a person more focused on games like in the old days, so I could put this game much higher on the list. But Death Stranding 2 left me so unsatisfied that I'm involuntarily lowering my expectations. Kojima calls this not just a game, but also a movie and a new form of media. That sentence right there scares me a lot, because it feels like, under the guise of an art project, we're going to get a work with good cinematics but unsatisfying aspects elsewhere, rather than a game. Criticizing Kojima might be a negative move for a new channel, but I have to say in all honesty, Kojima feels like a person who doesn't have much to do with games anymore. He even says himself that he doesn't play games much these days. I don't know if you can deliver a big hit anymore, but I hope this time, without getting too hyped up by the artsy-fartsy crowd, you actually make a solid game. 17. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake. No matter how much Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed have been criticized in recent years, they finally realized they were sitting on a goldmine. After the Skull and Bones fiasco, the company said, let's just do what we know best, and hit the button for the Black Flag Remake. There is already a lack of pirate games on the single-player side of the industry. At least, if you are going to be mediocre with new games, you can present a game you were good at with a nice remake. I don't know how many changes Ubisoft will make, or how much of a remake it will feel like, but it seems to me they won't take too many risks. I think they'll just bring the gameplay up to the standard of current Assassin's Creed games and present it. Still, I would love to experience this adventure again in the new generation and have my childhood memories reawakened. 16. Nioh 3. Team Ninja doesn't know how to stop. Dude, these guys make games without taking a breath. They tried open world with Rise of the Ronin, but the compact level design and extremely fast structure of the Nioh series are still player favorites. We know very little about Nioh 3, but our expectation is clear. Faster combat, more complex weapon skills, and new yokai bosses that will give us a nervous breakdown. For those looking for speed in the Souls-like genre, this will probably be the #1 address again. Just please, make the level designs more creative, more surprising, so the feeling of repetition decreases. In both Nioh games, and in other games they've made, after a while, everything stays so much the same that I felt like quitting before finishing them. I would prefer if they came out in, say, 2028 instead of 2026, and produced something incredibly different. But it seems Team Ninja wants to milk these solid mechanics a bit more. 15. High on Life 2. Let's shake off the negative thoughts and tension a bit, shall we? The first High on Life surprisingly topped the charts when it came to Game Pass. It endeared itself to us with talking guns, Rick and Morty-style absurd humor, and a colorful world. In the second game, Squanch Games is expanding this formula. We won't just have a pistol anymore. We'll have new weapons with different personalities that constantly bicker with you and roast you, with wider biomes, more diverse enemies, and probably more dirty jokes. High on Life 2 is a candidate to be the most fun FPS experience of the year. If they also improve this entertaining story and dialogue, a game might emerge that I enjoy as much as I enjoyed Dispatch. 14. Code Vein 2. The first game, which deserved the nickname Anime Dark Souls to the end, was loved very much by a certain audience. Bandai Namco saw this potential and gave the green light for a sequel. Even though I wasn't crazy about Code Vein 1, it looks like they have really improved the game this time. The biggest flaw of the first game was the boring, repetitive corridor designs. In the second game, developers promise a world that is much more vertical, gothic, and waiting to be explored. That satisfying mechanic where we suck the blood of enemies with the Blood Veil system and use special powers will appear before us even deeper. I hope they learned their lesson from the first game's mistakes and put a very good job in front of us, so that more companies besides From Software are making good Souls games. 13. Fable. After years of silence, canceled projects, and studio changes, Fable returns. And it's in the hands of Playground Games, the graphics wizards we know from the Forza Horizon series. The giant Richard Ayoade character we saw in the trailers, the flying fairies, and the British humor show that the game is staying true to its roots. But the real deal is the visuals. We never imagined an open-world RPG could look this detailed. Being a hero, or being a villain and making life miserable for the villagers, the choice will be entirely ours. This is Xbox's biggest RPG test after Starfield. I'm expecting more from Fable than Gears, but the number of games that rise solidly from such painful production processes is low. I hope they can pull it off. 12. Lords of the Fallen 2. The reboot game released in 2023 had a great art design, but it couldn't fully reflect its potential due to technical issues. The developer team, CI Games, says there is no room for error this time. Developed with Unreal Engine 5.4, the game will again use that famous lamp mechanic. Even though I didn't love this mechanic and thought it unnecessarily prolonged the level designs, being able to travel in both the land of the living and the land of the dead at the same time is a creative idea if used more correctly. This time, the combat mechanics are expected to be tighter, the hit impact heavier, and the technical performance flawless. If they succeed, it could come like medicine in the void left by Elden Ring. 11. Marvel 1943. Storytelling is usually secondary in superhero games, but this game is different. Because Amy Hennig, the screenwriter of the Uncharted series, is at the helm, we will see Captain America and a young Black Panther facing off in the occupied streets of Paris during World War II. In the released tech demos, the characters' facial expressions, fog effects, and clothing details were so realistic that for a moment, we thought we were watching a CGI movie. This is not a live service game. It will be a cinematic action-adventure focused entirely on the story from start to finish, exactly the kind we missed. I'm scared because Amy Hennig is involved, since all the projects she entered in recent years were canceled. I hope this game also appears before us solidly, without being canceled. Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis. A new era begins for Lara Croft. Developed in collaboration with Amazon Games and Crystal Dynamics, this game aims to combine Laura's traumatic past in the Survivor trilogy with that confident dual pistol-wielding version from the old games. Even the rumors of Atlantis in the game's name are enough to get excited. If the leaks are true, instead of a wide-scale open world, we will see semi-open, massive, explorable ancient ruins. Forests, temples, and puzzles made with Unreal Engine 5 will carry the series to the peak visually. I mean, these are the claims, but we haven't seen a new Tomb Raider game for years, and we missed it. Just bring it so we can play! 9. 007 First Light. IO Interactive, who gave a lecture on how to make an assassination game with the Hitman trilogy, is now moving their area of expertise to the James Bond universe. This is not a movie adaptation. It is a completely original origin story. We will play through how Bond earned his 00 status. Looking at the studio's history, a game awaits us where we will travel to different parts of the world, infiltrate luxury parties, and take down our targets, sometimes with stealth, and sometimes with technological toys. Combining Bond's charisma with Hitman mechanics is a perfect idea on paper. Seeing that the game will have both levels we are used to from Hitman games and levels similar to Uncharted, I think it could even start a spy game fury. 8. LEGO Batman. Don't be surprised to see a LEGO game on the list, because TT Games plans to completely change the LEGO formula with this game. Not just for kids, but a massive game is coming that reflects Gotham's gothic atmosphere without letting go of the humor. Just like they did in the Skywalker saga, hundreds of playable characters, a giant city that can be traversed with a Batmobile, and a story that touches every corner of the Batman universe. Mechanically, it is said that the combat system has been overhauled and is more satisfying. As a Batman fan who even has Batman on his channel banner, I am waiting for this game insanely. We have been longing for a good Batman game since the Batman Arkham trilogy. I swear I'll play it even if it's LEGO. 7. Crimson Desert. Here is the most confusing game. This single-player RPG developed by the makers of Black Desert made us say, this cannot be real, with every trailer released. But people tried it and gave their feedback. You know the conversation about every movement regarding gameplay being incredibly complex? The game had already become a meme, because even raising a flag was very complex. It's like they combined Red Dead Redemption 2 and Witcher 3 and added a giant action game on top of it. If the game can offer even half of the quality in these trailers at launch, it could be one of the best of 2026. 6. The Blood of the Dawnwalker. The director of The Witcher 3 and his team left CD Projekt and founded their own studio, Rebel Wolves. This is that team's first game, a dark, vampire-themed RPG where storytelling is at the forefront. Until Witcher 4 arrives, this is the strongest candidate to fill that void. The team's experience is like a guarantee that even side quests will be as deep as the main story. I wonder how they will interpret vampire mythology. Plus, the vampire theme is a game genre that attracts my attention more than the Witcher theme and has had a gap in the industry for many years. As you know, Bloodlines 2 wasn't exactly great. 5. Pragmata, Capcom's mysterious game where nobody understood what they were trying to do. When it was first announced, it was going to be one of the launch games for PS5, but it was delayed so much that I thought it was canceled. But today, we know the game is coming, and people have played and experienced it. A dystopian sci-fi set on the surface of the moon. We have a little girl we need to protect, and the enemies are robotic entities. My only worry is that the gameplay might not deepen and could get repetitive, yet it still has a really intriguing system. Briefly, like this. While fighting in the game, you solve a puzzle. A screen pops up like a minigame. You solve that puzzle and break the enemy's shields, and then you shoot and take them down. Capcom has been progressing very well with Resident Evil and Monster Hunter in recent years. Pragmata could be the new link in this chain. 4. Control Resonant. It wouldn't be a lie to say Remedy is one of the most creative studios in the gaming world right now. They turned the horror genre into a work of art with Alan Wake 2. The cold, brutalist architecture and the flying, dashing action from the first game will be preserved, but this time, the budget is much bigger. With the structure Remedy calls the Connected Universe, they will tie the Alan Wake and Control stories together thoroughly. It will focus on bending our minds, strange puzzles, and that unique feeling of chaos. We will control the brother our character in Control was looking for and see what he went through. Unlike Control, it won't be a gun-focused combat, but a more melee-focused game. Our weapon in hand will transform into different things, and we will beat up different enemies in different ways with it. As a person who played Control with great pleasure, this game is definitely among the ones I will play when it comes out. 3. Marvel's Wolverine. Insomniac Games answered the question, how to make a superhero game, with Spider-Man. But Wolverine is a completely different beast. The studio confirmed that this game will come with a mature rating. What does this mean? The adamantium claws aren't just for show, they will really cut. They won't go on some nonsense, no, let everyone play our game trip, and kill that brutal feeling. A more linear, story-focused, semi-open world structure is expected. Even daring to come out in the same period as GTA 6 shows how much the studio trusts this game. If a company like Insomniac is making it, we will definitely play one of the best superhero games of recent years. We can already clearly say this game is a candidate for the Best Action Game of the Year award. So, can we say the game in second place could also be a candidate for this award? I think forget about being a candidate. It could take the award directly. 2. Phantom Blade Zero. Watch out for this storm coming from the Far East. Many people think this is a Souls-like game, but the producers spoke clearly. No, this is a combo game. Like Ninja Gaiden or Devil May Cry, there is a combat system that has no cooldowns and relies solely on your reflexes and combo ability. Chinese martial arts, steampunk theme, in that rainy, dark atmosphere. Those who played the released demo say that the hit impact and animation quality are thousands of times better than many AAA games in the industry. I expect this to be the game that satisfies my hunger for action and closes out this year, where a new Devil May Cry hasn't arrived. Definitely at number 1 for me. 1. GTA 6. Now you're going to say, you just said Phantom Blade Zero will be number 1 for you. Why don't you expect it at number 1? You're right. But that's just about my own experience. GTA 6 is directly about the gaming industry. There is no other example of a game in the world whose release is awaited like this, that is this big. Maybe you could say Half-Life 3, but I think the impact and expectation GTA 6 can create is much bigger than Half-Life 3. While Half-Life is a more linear game, GTA 6 is awaited for its story, its open world, and its online side. It is the most anticipated game, not just of 2026, but perhaps of the last 10 to 15 years. November 19th, 2026. Rockstar Games takes us to the state of Leonida, which is their version of Florida. Aside from Lucia and Jason's Bonnie and Clyde-style story, a revolution is expected regarding living world simulation. The crowded beaches in the trailer, the satire of social media culture, vehicle physics, and water effects. GTA 6 won't just be a game, it will be a cultural phenomenon. Don't be surprised if schools are closed or people take time off work the day it comes out, because the king is back. I think there will inevitably be people who are disappointed due to these incredibly high expectations. Still, since it is the last Rockstar game Dan Houser was involved in, I am sure we will play a very, very solid game. Don't be surprised if you don't see anything other than GTA 6 on social media for like 2 months. My wallet is already burning just looking at the list. It looks like 2026 will truly be an endgame year for the gaming world. So, which one is your favorite? Are you one of those saying, let GTA 6 come out, the rest is a lie? Or are you like me, saying, give me Phantom Blade first? Mention it in the comments. Let's have a long talk. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more packed content like this. Don't get lost in the gaming world. Stay clear on Level Clarity. See you in the next video.